If everything is I, that's a big sign that your business is probably not as healthy as it should be.
Representing Franchise Secrets, Erik Van Horn.
Welcome to Franchise Secrets. Erik here. I'm going to do another solo episode, and I'm going to just answer some random different questions. Some are from the Facebook group. Some are from like different newsletters that I get, things that I think are interesting. And so this will be like an interview, but me just answering different questions that are out there. I'll go to the Facebook group. First of all, it's the Franchise Secrets Facebook group. You can join that by going to franchisesecretsgroup.com, and it will take you right to the ability to get into that Facebook group. Put a chart out there on December 6th. Not a chart. I saw a chart, and then I made a post out of it, and I labeled it the most expensive org chart in America. CEO was you. CFO was you. CMO is you. You are the head of ops. You're also in customer service, IT, janitor. You're doing everything. And the reason I really put this in there, because I have some friends that have businesses and they're very proud of their businesses, as well they should be proud of their businesses. And I was riding home with one of my friends and who doesn't have a business, and we were just talking about it. And he's like, "Oh, so-and-so's looking at selling their business." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think they're really going to be able to sell it for what they want to sell it for, or really what it could get." And he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And so I started to talk about really how to exit a business. And then I had another friend at the same time that just started a business on helping people set up their business to exit it in a year, 2 or 3 years down the road. And this is really what we do from day number one with the franchise brands that we get involved with at Front Street. You can set up a franchise organization to be able to have the data room, to be able to hold everything that it needs to, so you're always investor ready. And that's the whole point of this original post. The most expensive org chart in America is you in every position. If you are not intentional on setting up your business to be sellable, it's going to be hard to get the most amount of that, the highest dollar amount for that business. And you might be thinking, well, I don't need the most amount of money. Well, why not? Why not make it valuable? If you're working so hard in the business, why don't you make that business very valuable? I was talking to somebody else. Again, that same week, I ran into him at the gas station. He's a very successful local business owner. Works hard 6 months out of the year, vacations the rest of the year. And he said, "Yeah, I'm working so hard in my business every summer," which is basically like full 6 months. In South Dakota, like summer is 6 months and then it's winter. So he was very proud of that fact. And it got me thinking, this conversation that I had with another friend about a friend, and all these business owners are so proud of the fact that they are so instrumental in the business that is the thing that is making their business less valuable. And I would also argue that is making their impact in the business less and making their life not as great. And what I mean by that is, if you're building a business that's sellable, you are also building a business that can survive without you being in the business all the time. And if you're building a business that does not revolve around you, and when something happens to you where you can't be in the business 1 week or for 2 weeks or for 3 weeks, then that could really have an impact on your business in a negative way. This happened to me. I don't think I've ever shared this publicly before, but all of a sudden I got really sick. I came home from a conference, and I'd been tired, and I was sick before the conference, didn't realize how sick. Got home from the conference by doing conference things for 4 days and was just exhausted. Well, emergency room visit later, they're like, I got a hospital bed ready for you, Erik. And I'm like, I really don't want to go and stay at the hospital. And he's like, well, we've got it ready for you. I was in the emergency room. My wife is like, let's get him home and let's try to get him better before he goes into the hospital. And so good things I was friends with the emergency room doc, which isn't why I didn't go, but it helps being friends with the doctors. And he's like, okay. So he's checking in with me all the time. And he's like, if he gets to this point, then we need to get him in, because that's when it becomes really, really dangerous. So 1 week of being home. So I went to the conference, got really sick. I was very sick at home, meaning I could have easily been in the hospital. I had my wife was dealing with all kinds of doctors, all kinds of people that were here to help. I don't even remember most of what was happening. That's how sick I really got. And then I started to get better just before I was probably hours away from getting admitted to the hospital. That's at what the point that we were, where I didn't have a choice but to go to the hospital. And so I started to pull out of that. So the next week I was worthless. For about a 2 week period, I didn't have any contact with any of my business partners, with any of my businesses, with any of my masterminds, with anything. My wife was communicating the best that she could with all of that. Nothing happened to my businesses. Things didn't break, things didn't fall apart, things were okay. And it's because things weren't built around me. And I think whether it's an unexpected illness that causes you to be out of your businesses for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, or it's a vacation that you take for 2 to 4 weeks, like that is a test for you to see how your business does without you. And don't do it when things are slow. Do it when things are busy. That's how you know how healthy your business is. I'll say that again. That's how you know how healthy your business is. You can be prideful. You can say this business is amazing because I'm so amazing, because I do all of this stuff in the business. If everything is I, that's a big sign that your business is probably not as healthy as it should be. An unhealthy business does not nobody wants to buy an unhealthy business. Like, it's taking a step back from even a healthy business where the owner is not involved that much. They're doing strategic things in the business, but think about a business that is struggling. Think about it. We've passed on businesses this year in 2025 that we wanted to get into because the price was so low. I mean, it was a very, very good deal, but the business wasn't healthy. And you have to think, like, what are the challenges that I'm going to face getting into an unhealthy business? These businesses were unhealthy from a customer standpoint. Higher, like the people, the main employees in the business were not in the greatest of places. So we didn't want to get involved in those particular businesses. Same thing though, if the reason the business is what seems to be healthy is you as the founder, is you as the entrepreneur, you are fooling yourself to think that you have a successful business. Because if you define successful business as a healthy, cash flowing business, that's one thing. But if you define it as I am making $500,000 a year as a business owner, that you're working 60 hours a week in the business, or even 40 hours a week in the business, and you are doing all the important things in the business, I would say that's an unhealthy business. And I would rather make $400,000 a year or $350,000 a year and work 5 hours a week in that business, because it frees me up to go do other things. And think about that. If you have a business that is built around you and it's making $500,000 a year, and what can you really sell that for? Because when you leave, what's that business worth? If you are the marketing, the finance, the operational person, the face of the business, what is that business really worth with you not in it? Versus a business that's making $350,000 a year where you are just providing leadership 5 hours a week, maybe 10 hours a week. What is that business worth? It's worth a multiple. That might be a 3 or 4 or 5x multiple depending on the business. So that is a healthy business. So I would stop thinking about like how thinking of healthy business and your involvement in it as one and the same thing, or a successful business. I would think about what is a successful business, define that, and I would definitely put your level of involvement in there and be like, what would a healthy business look like without my involvement? And that's the gap. That's what you need to fill in. And you need to find help in those areas. And it doesn't have to be overnight, but this is a plan that you can start to put in place. And if you don't start with this in your mind, then 5 years from now, you might be making $500,000, $1 million a year, but it's all built around you because you're doing everything. Everything lives in your head. You are the relationship person with all the vendors, suppliers, key customers, whatever it is. That business is probably just not going to be worth nearly as much. And I built businesses both ways, where it's built around me and where it's built around a system. It's built, the business can stand alone without me. But the point of that is, healthy business is going to demand a higher multiple, a greater price when you decide to sell it. It's going to give you a better lifestyle. So then you don't have to sell it to do something else. Don't have to sell it if you have to move. You don't have to sell it if you want to retire. You can still continue to run it because it doesn't take up much of your time. Or if something happens to you for 1 or 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, the business doesn't suffer because of it. That's building a healthy business. That's why I wrote that post about let me show you the most expensive org chart in America. So I would just urge you to think about that, and some of the things that you can do to start taking stuff off of your plate so you can start focusing on the things that you enjoy in the business is hire an executive assistant, hire a really good bookkeeper, hire somebody that can start taking the things off of your plate that you don't enjoy doing. So I just do an inventory on the things that you don't enjoy doing and start doing more of what you do enjoy doing. When we first started Front Street, we looked around the room and we're like, what do we want to be doing? What don't we want to be doing in the business? It's not like, let's just talk about what we're good at and what we're not good at, and we're going to do what we're good at. If we would have done that, then I would be doing everything that I'm doing today in Front Street, and I would be doing Bobby's job in franchise development. The same with Jeff. But Jeff and I decided we don't want to do that, even though we're good at it and we could do it. It's not something that brings us energy right now. So we're out. And that's how we got Bobby over at Front Street.
Attention, franchisors and franchisees. There are 2 really important resources that I want to share with you that will help you avoid costly mistakes and increase your enterprise value. The first is our free Facebook group. It's a community that has over 4,000 franchisees and franchisors in it. When somebody asks a question, they get honest and authentic answers from multiple perspectives. You can join the group for free over at franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. The second resource I want to share with you is if you're a franchisee and you want to be around a community of successful Zs and other brands and in other industries, this is why I created the Franchisee Mastermind. If you want access to the best single and multi-unit owners to know what they're doing, or if you want to be around other multi-brand owners, then you'll want to check out my Franchisee Mastermind. The reason why people join is they want access to my Rolodex, my connections, to each other. They want a shortcut success, both short-term and long-term. Links will be in the show notes or at scalablefranchise.com.
All right, here's another one. I'm just scrolling through that Facebook group. The biggest lie in business, that growth equals cash. I've told you that one of my favorite franchises was Solo Salon Studios. The salon suite industry is just such a great a great one, especially back then. And this was this was 10 years ago. We got into it when we were coming out of the real estate crash. Like we were still afraid to buy or to rent real estate because we were just on the tail end of the crash. Like 15 years ago. We were on the tail end of that crash. So it gives you an idea. So we we're getting real estate on the cheap, still new because we had to the brand, the industry, the salon suite industry. We were fighting against the salon industry. It was a major uphill battle, but it was actually really good. And so what we were doing is we were growing. Were we making money? 100%. Yeah, we were making money. We were having distributions. Things were great, but we were growing so fast. We opened up 12 of them in 5 years. So when you're opening up 12 locations in 5 years, $1 million each, even though we used financing, so we had leverage, it was still eating our cash. Like growth eats cash. And so we could have stopped there and done really well and had a lot of cash flow coming in, but we would have stopped. Or we could have kept growing. We're like, we don't really want to do this for another 5 years of continuing to grow to get past this point where our cash exceeds our growth. But if we were opening up 3 to 4 a year, that was eating up a lot of our cash flow. So in business, you got to think about this when you're getting ready to buy into a franchise. If you're buying a 12 pack, which is a lot of territories, most people should never, ever do that. But we did. So I can't tell you that you should never do that. But we went into it knowing that we, no matter what, unless things were really bad, going to open up 12 locations. And we knew that growth was going to eat cash. And that was part of the game. That was part of the thing that we were signing up for. So think about that as you are in growth mode on a franchise. You may be successful. You may be having cash flow, but if that cash flow is going to pay for future locations to open up, future expansion within the brand, maybe it's another truck, maybe it's more equipment, whatever it is, that is going right back into you as a franchisee. So you're not feeling like you're making a lot of money, but you are building an asset and you are choosing to continue to grow that asset. So you can look at your bank account at the end of the year and be like, oh, I thought I made more than $500,000 this year. It felt like we were making $1 million or $2 million this year. But then you look at what you spent to open up new locations, and it's like, okay, I am choosing to spend money to make more money in the following years. That's franchise. That's just entrepreneurship. That's like when you are in growth mode, when you are growing, that's what happens. So it's frustrating at times when I talk to franchisees when we're validating our different brands that we're looking at getting involved with. Well, ask them, how you doing? You making money? And these are just normal questions. They're like, no, we're not making any money. We're like, well, tell us more. And you realize that they actually are making money and they might be making really good money, but they are in growth mode. So I just thought that's why I put this out there. I called it the biggest lie in business, that growth equals cash. Growth equals cash getting eaten up. Growth eats cash. And so that's really why I posted that. You just need to understand that. So if you're a franchisee validating and you are looking at getting into a franchise, just because someone says they make money or don't make money, you need to dig deeper in that to understand, because some of these franchisees that we've talked to are making really good money, but talking to them, you'd think they were dirt poor. And some people just don't even understand their numbers. So they might be like, yeah, we're happy, but they don't even know if they're making money or not. So the point of that is you really, as a franchisee, have a good bookkeeper. Like that goes back into like setting your business to be sellable. Have a good bookkeeper, have a good ops person, and you focus on the things that you're really good at and you get joy out of. As a franchisor, you think you have it hard as a franchisee investing back into your own business as a multi-unit or a multi-territory franchisee. Think about the franchisor. these franchisors are, they don't get to take their chips off the table for a while. They are investing back into the brand. We're investing some money into some brands, and it takes money. Now, by the way, some of these brands that we're getting ready to invest in, we know what it's going to take to get them from where they are today to where they want to be. And you don't even know who these brands are. These are not current brands of ours, but these are brands that we're looking at bringing into the Front Street portfolio. And we know with the explosive growth that they're wanting, and explosive in a good way, not like let's sell 1,000 territories and open up 500 of them next year. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about good explosive growth, meaning that has all the ingredients to do really, really well. Um, and so, but the franchisor, they have to put money, they always have to be ahead of the game. They're always investing out ahead. As franchisees, you're kind of investing maybe a little bit ahead if you're getting a district operational manager when you have 2 locations open up and you're going to open up a third. Maybe you invest in that district operational manager. Maybe it's cost you an extra $50,000 a year. But franchisors, they need to hire franchise business coaches sooner than they need them. They need to hire a CMO, a CFO, a CEO, a COO, directors in all of those different positions as well. And so there's a path for growth for these franchisors, and that growth eats cash. It just eats cash. So if you are a franchisee in a system that's less than 100 units open, that franchisor is probably not getting rich off of you yet. Now, do they have the opportunity to have this massive, amazing payday that's life changing? Absolutely. But do they have a pathway to get there full of ups and downs and capital calls and hirings and firings and you name it? Absolutely. So I think anything that franchisees deal with, franchisors for the most part are dealing with it on a multiplied level, maybe 2 to 3 to 10x on what a franchisee deals with. So I just wanted to bring that up because I've been there. And it's nice when you get to the point where you just have to make a decision. Am I happy with 3? Do I want to cash flow 3 and be very happy with that? 3 open locations or 3 trucks or 3 territories, have that growth happen in a 2 to 3 year period? Or do I want 6, or do I want 9, or do I want 12? And a lot of that just depends on your lifestyle. Kind of going back to the first one, building a business that's sellable. I like to have to build, especially in retail, get like 3 locations open. So you get a 3-pack, you get 3 locations open, then you can afford to hire that district operational manager. And that manager oversees the managers, and it really frees you up to do other things. Maybe focus on things in the business that will have that are high leverage. Maybe you're really good at marketing. Maybe you're really good at staffing or operations, but you can really hyper focus on those things or create culture. Whatever it is, those are the things that you can hyper focus on and have somebody else do like day-to-day management type stuff. So you just really need to understand what phase you are in, because there comes a time where you go from the building phase to the harvest phase. And that might mean just cash flow. You are harvesting cash flow. And that's a great thing. Or you just slow down on the growth, and so you can go into more of that harvest stage. And I love that. I've done that before, where I'm like, I'm going to stay in this business, but I'm not going to continue to grow. I'm not going to continue aggressive growth. I'm going to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And you need to understand what that is. Even buying into franchises. I remember early on in my first franchise, like my eyes got so big. I'm like, I want to own the entire city, whatever the city was. Like I wanted that entire city. And I realized later, and even at the time, they were saying, you don't need to have all of this. There will be opportunity to buy out other franchisees in that particular city when they decide not to open up or they want to sell. And that proved to be true more times than not. Not always, but I realized there was always opportunity to buy more most of the time. Even in brands that I see as very successful, meaning franchisees are making a lot of money. They have well over 100 open locations. Franchisees are making many hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. These are businesses that my friends are involved with as franchisees. Even there's opportunity to open up new locations, might not be in the exact spot that you want. And there's definitely opportunity to buy out other franchisees. And here's what's interesting. In one of the most successful franchise systems that I've seen, where I know multiple private equity buyers that are in there, some of them are my friends doing it, or large franchisees, there's still franchisees that are unhappy. I've seen it in the Facebook group, in this brand where all my friends are making a killing. There are people that come into the Facebook group anonymously and start talking bad about a certain franchise, and they don't name it. I've never seen it named, but I know who they are and I know what franchise they're referring to. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, everybody that I know in this business is doing very well, and you are here telling me like this is a garbage system, a garbage model. It just shows me you can't believe everything that you see online, in the Facebook group, in a post, the good or the bad. You have to do your own research. So those are two things that I've noticed. Two questions that I wanted to kind of get to in that Facebook group. Another thing that a friend of mine, Sharon, put out in his newsletter. I'm going to read it. He said, the question that changes everything. You could get Sharon's newsletter at mynextbillion.com, mynextbillion.com. Sharon is just a CEO, former CEO at Real Estate. He's now business partners with the Hermosis. I was texting with him last week when one of my brands was going to be in his neck of the woods. Brilliant guy, brilliant thinker, brilliant communicator, so kind, and a guy that I'll look to if I need help on different things. So I love his newsletter, My Next Billion. But in there, he says, the question that changes everything. If you want a star to succeed in a new environment, ask them one simple question. Now, he's talking about A players here. It's like how to hire, how to find, how to deal with A players. So he says, if you want a star to succeed in a new environment, ask them one simple question. Who are the 2 or 3 people who help you do your best work? And they might say, I need the people that will help me stay organized, stay focused on the right work, make decisions without delay. That's who helps them do their best work. So his point in that is, don't bring in a superstar, don't bring in an A player without thinking of bringing the support system around them to help them be an A player. And as at Front Street, as we look at investing in brands, from whether it's capital, whether it's our time, we want to make sure that we are that group that can come around them that will help them be that A player, that A plus franchisor, A plus founder. Or if we are looking at bringing in a C-level to some of these, like, we want to know who they need, the type of person that they need to help them be their best. And so I love how he said that in his newsletter. But don't bring in an A plus player without planning on bringing in the people that will help that person actually win. So, and he goes through a lot of different things. He said, before hiring a player for an important role, ask a few questions to protect the team and to protect the budget. So, but one of those questions, like, who are the 2-3 people that they would bring? I think that's, we all want A players. We want amazing team members, but we've got to be thinking, how can we help support them? You've got to have the right people on the bus. You've got to have the right people around them. This is something that we really look at in Front Street. Another thing he said is, an A player can't create results inside of a weak infrastructure. They need a working ecosystem around them. And this is true. He said, many CEOs struggle here. They hire a great person, they expect instant change. That's not going to happen. Like, you get an A player, You've got to have the ecosystem. You have to have the infrastructure for that A player to thrive, because there's nothing worse than an A player getting involved in the wrong ecosystem, the wrong infrastructure, the wrong fit. They're going to be gone so fast. And you all know how much time it takes to find that A player, to get them plugged in. So I would start to understand, who is it, if you were to make one hire in 2026, an A player in your organization, who would it be and why, and what would they need around? How would you attract that person? How can you be the entrepreneur or the founder to attract that person would want to work with you, for you? And how would you be able to put together the support system, the infrastructure for that person to thrive in your environment? So that's what I've got for you.
Thanks for listening to the Franchise Secrets podcast. Links to everything can be found over at franchisesecrets.com. And if you want my help with anything from starting your own franchise to growing your current franchise business, please visit scalablefranchise.com.